Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3, Episode 9, Judgment Day. So before I get into my review of this episode, I kind of wanted to share a quick little moment for everyone who is kind of in the same position as me, because I had no idea this was the final season of the show, like, at all, until the actual promo said that it was the series finale, because I thought, of course, it was, like, the epic, moment. I thought it was going to say season finale. And then it said series, and I was like, how did I not know that this was the final season of the show? Everything that I'd looked up, I hadn't heard that it was the final season. Typically, every channel on the planet, like the most basic of marketing, is like, this is our final season. Please watch the show as it goes out. They didn't do that at all. They didn't say once that it was the final season, unless I missed it for like every promo I saw just happened to not say it. I had no idea this was the final season at all. So that kind of hit me hard. And because I was going to wait to do this review, and then it was like, well, now I'm just kind of like, man, I got one more review. I thought, one more until later. And it's like, no, it's done. It's done next week. It's 10 episodes and the season is done. The series is done. And that really blows because I had, like I said, no idea. Normally, you have that prep. It's like, it's the final season. It's like, man, we're counting down to, however many episodes. And this just hit me like, it's over next week, and I had no freaking clue, and I was just like, holy crap. Maybe that's why they were killing so many people, even though they were mostly random characters. Maybe that was why everybody just kept coming in and getting killed off. Zoe does officially get killed off, which is kind of to be expected. She was captured by like the main villain, so it was like, sure. And of course it was a gruesome death. They sliced her skin off to make a new page in the Necronomicon, and they gouged her eyes out to kill her. And it's just like, man, all those people died in like insanely gruesome ways. She got her eyes gouged out. The one dude, who knows what happened to that one guy that was in the rift. Then the other guy has his body like morphed onto a deadite, so he was just stuck and freaking out as it's happening. Then the other dude was like fatality, where his head was ripped out and his spine came with it. So they just been killing people like just in insane ways. Dalton died a couple of times. He was just tortured. So pretty crazy season. And now we're going into the series finale, which explains why this episode was so insane. Because I'm like, man, and it was kind of funny. Just as I was thinking, I was like, wow, this is a nuts episode. Like, I did not expect it to get this crazy. Like, I didn't think it was going to get that intense going into the idea of the Dark Ones and, them getting the pages and everything. I felt like, honestly, I kind of felt like it was just like this looming threat that wasn't really going to come, where it was like, oh, the Dark Ones and stuff, and Ruby and Kaya betraying them and things like that. And I was like, it's not much of a threat. No big deal. Like, they're kind of doing okay. Like, Ruby kills Kelly. Kelly has her body stolen. It's like, the Dark Ones still seem to be that big of a deal. Like, it's cool. No real threat. And then this episode, they actually just pop in, and it was like, oh, I understand now why they were a problem. Like, they come in, and Pablo, being Brujo Especial, he ends up surviving and everything. But they come in, and they just basically ooze, just the madness, and people start turning into deadites. They have the dude who is cutting his face up inside the bar, which I don't know if that was meant to be a reference, but it made me think of the Evil Dead remake, because that's one of the things that happens in that movie, where the girl like cuts her face off. I was like, okay, this is nuts. Like, the whole city's just going absolutely bonkers. And then we have Brandy having her own crazy experience where they do, it was the cell phone, and it sucked that her thumb got bit off. And then this was a super obvious reference, but of course they have her. It's like, oh, she's in the shed and everything, and then it's like, oh crap, it's starting to spread down my arm, and so they look and they show like the chainsaw is missing, and then they go to the buzzsaw, and she's cutting her arm off, and I was like, holy crap, they're gonna have her, chop her arm off, and then we find out it was fake, but she did actually, lose her thumb, and I was like, oh, and when we saw it was fake, I was like, oh, okay, so she was just trapped and it was torturing her, but it was like, oh no, she actually, she really did lose her thumb. So she fights like her phone, which was really weird. But she takes out her phone, and then it's her and Pablo teaming up and trying to get to Ash, because they have to get to the house to, help him out and stop the Dark Ones and everything. And it was just absolute madness. And of course, Ash is dealing, which they did a lot of stuff in this episode that totally makes sense as to why, we're going into the series finale. It makes a lot of sense why some stuff happened in this. But he's fighting, of course, against Ruby. She's beating him up. Love the scene where she destroys the chainsaw, though, because he was just like, oh my god, like it was so over the top. It was hilarious. So I love that. But once again, it totally makes sense now. It's like, oh, they destroyed the chainsaw because it's, the end of the series. But of course, he still has the boomstick, which is in between the house and the garage. So that'll probably come back in the final, in the finale. But like, he's basically getting beat up. He's about to get screwed. And then the Dark Ones come out, And that scene did not play out like I thought. They go through this process. It's like, okay. And I knew, and I think I mentioned this before. I was like, okay, well, of course, Kelly's body's being taken over, but they have to have, at some point, the actual actress has to show up, like, on screen. It just totally makes sense. They have her face. It just works. It totally makes sense. So the Dark Ones show up. They suck her soul out of Kelly's body. And it's like, okay, this is a pretty intense scene. Like, the Dark Ones are here. They got to Ruby. They got to Kaya. Ash is there. He's able to kind of make his escape. He gets the Kandarian dagger because it like falls under a table, so he grabs that. They're doing all this stuff. He grabs the Necronomicon. He gets Kelly's body. It's like things are looking up great for him. And then it's like bring forth the Condemned One, which was a crazy sequence anyway because I didn't expect them to like have a body just like fall out of this dark void, and she just like comes out like she was literally just birthed. She's like liquidy and everything, and the body just drops. And they throw the soul in it. And it's like, okay. I don't think they even said anything. It was just like, bring forth the Condemned One. It was just like, all right, here she is. Boom. And they just set her on fire. And I was like, holy crap. There wasn't like the dialogue. Like, you are being sentenced to death for this. And you were a betrayer and this and that. It was just like, bring her body out. Toss her soul in. All right, check this out. Dead. And it was just like flames and she was gone. And then, of course, they get to Ruby and they like pull her soul out and her body is melting and stuff. And once again, them killing off like this series main villain totally makes sense because we're going into the series finale. And I love that scene because first off, it was cool. I was like, holy crap, they just roasted this woman and now they're killing off Ruby. And then they made it hilarious with Ash. He was like, oh, I'm melting. And then it's like, fuck off, bitch. And that made me laugh so hard when he was doing that. And he's, because it's like, hey, Ruby's gone. So he was totally fine and it was absolutely hilarious. So I thought that was super funny. That was just a hilarious sequence. But, of course, we get to the end. Everything's going absolutely bonkers. And then the Dark Ones, of course, get the Necronomicon from Ash. Pablo isn't really able to stop them in that scene. They just kind of, toss him aside. So they get the Lost Pages, they get the book, and they complete it. And then, like, this ultimate demon starts to rise at the end. So that's going into the finale, which I'm hoping, they could still do half an hour, but I'm hoping for the series finale, they take it back to the hour thing like it was in the very first season, which I still wish this show was an hour, but I don't think it was, unfortunately, I don't think it was popular enough to keep hour-long episodes like it was in the very first season, because I loved that when it was like an hour long, and then it was like, oh, I remember season 2 starting, and it was like, oh, that sucks, they're cutting it down to, it's half-hour episodes instead of an hour. But I'm hoping for the series finale we get to have another, an hour-long episode. That'd be great. Even if it's half an hour, that would just make it even crazier because it'd be like, how are they going to do all this in 22 minutes or something? So if it is still half an hour next week, then that'll be even more ridiculous. But, it's a series finale. And it's insane. And it sucks because it's like, it just legitimately hit me from the promo because I had no freaking clue. Like, I legitimately thought I knew. Like going into it, okay, it's like, okay, I knew that this was happening, I knew that was happening. Hadn't heard a single thing about this is the final season or anything like that. And I feel like that happened with another shows. Being Human, which the American version on Sci-Fi. I remember that was the same thing, and I was just watching it, and then I saw an article at random. It was like, this is the final season. I was like, what? How do you announce it's the final season of a series, like in the middle of the season? At least it wasn't the last episode, I found out. But that was kind of the same thing where I found out like a few weeks into watching the final season. I saw an article where it was like, yep, this is the last season. I was like, how do you not announce that beforehand? So I'm sure this has been out there. I just didn't know. But this is one of the few shows where sometimes I do actually look up stuff for the show. I tend not to ever look anything up. But once again, just from an advertising perspective, you always know when it's like the final season of a series because everyone's always doing that. It's like, this is the final season of this show. I'm actually watching another show, The Originals on CW, where that's all they were talking about. I didn't know that was the final season either. And then all the promos are like the final season of this show. It's like, yeah, that's what every channel throughout history has always done when it's the final season. They always let everybody know, like, hey, it's going away. This is the final season. You can be a part of it. And they just did not do that. Like, there's no promo I recall where it was like, this is the final season of Ash vs. Evil Dead. It was just like, the new season starts here. It wasn't like the final season starts or anything. It was just the new season. So, threw me for a loop watching the promo thinking, like, wow, this is going to go into a really crazy finale. And I don't know what they're going to do to up the ante off of the absolute chaos the entire town. they don't, because it's the end of the series. So call me off guard there, but definitely a great episode leading into it. Of course, you get rid of the chainsaw. Kind of sucks, but hey, still got his boomstick. But get rid of the chainsaw, get rid of Ruby, just totally roast Kaya. It was just like, boom, here she is, actual actress. She's on fire. She's gone now. And then, suck Ruby's soul out. So, get rid of some of the staples. Kill off some other just totally random people. Kill off Zoe, like, give people names. It's like, you're here for one episode, that's great, bye, and you're gone. And now we're going into the finale where they're fighting this insanely giant creature. Kelly gets her body back, of course. Basically, just based on the promo in general, it seems like it has to be like an hour-long episode, because just from the promo of what they showed, I was like, there's so much stuff in here. I mean, like I said, it would have to be like insanely rapid fire for it to only be a 30-minute series finale, but we will find out. I don't want to know. I might as well know. I don't know. I kind of just want to keep it that little mystery. Like, is it going to be half an hour? Is it going to be an hour? Typically, it's the series finale. If it's a half-hour show, typically it's an hour-long thing. Some people do like the super special hour-and-a-half-long movie-style event. I don't think they'll do that. I would love that if it was like an hour-and-a-half-long series finale. That would be great, but I highly doubt they'll do that. But looking forward to the series finale, which is utterly insane. But definitely looking forward to it. I think it'll be intense. They got this giant creature coming out, which is funny after seeing the promo, because for some cable things they always have like a little picture, and so for this season it's Ash shooting the boomstick down into the creature's mouth. I thought it was just like a cool piece of promo art, and then after seeing the thing and I hit like info and I was like, oh, now that makes sense for the season. Like, that's actually the final demon of the entire series. Like, that's why that's the promo art. It's the actual thing. I just thought it was just like, oh, they just have like a cool picture of him like standing in the mouth of like this insanely giant demon, just because that's a really cool shot. And it's like, oh no, that's actually the demon from the end of the series. Like, huh, who knew? But yeah, looking forward to the series finale, of course. Would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and naturally, surprisingly for me, with the series finale coming up next week, I of course want to know your predictions for what's going to be happening in the next episode, and of course what you guys want to see. It's the series finale. Obviously they killed off Ruby, so we won't see them like actually team up or anything like that, which I thought would have been an interesting concept. And it's like, I probably wouldn't have trusted her either. But going into like the grand fight with the demon, they kind of tease that Ash may or may not live. I think he will. That'd be nuts if that's how they ended it. It would be a pretty solid way to do it. If I'm being totally honest, that's a heck of a way to end it, where it's like, that's it. But I don't think they'll do that, because it's like, it's Ash. He kind of has to live no matter what. You gotta have Ash live. So I just assume all the heroes are gonna ultimately end up living. They'll defeat the villain. It'll go back and forth, like, oh, who will live, who will die. My theory, my hope as well, is that the heroes just live. That's just how it is. And I'd be totally fine if it was just that happy sort of ending. They beat the Deadites forever, destroy the Necronomicon officially. There's no more time travel. There's no more this. There's no more that. It's just all dead and gone. Maybe they'll even revive some people. Maybe they'll even be able to get the other people back, and everybody will come back to life. That would be, I wouldn't expect that, just because that would be like so happy of an ending, but who knows? Maybe we'll actually get that too. But like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode. And of course, want to know what you guys are hoping to see, predicting to see, and just want to see in general for the series finale of Ash vs. Evil Dead. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.